For NewsOK, I'm Dave Morris. We're going to talk travel here. This guy next to me, Damon Fontenot, you usually see him along the sidelines of the Sooners and Cowboys and Thunder shooting highlights. Sometimes you just want to get away, though, from the daily grind, from the deadlines, and you did just that. You just returned from Australia and New Zealand. Why did you go down there?
I'd wanted to go to New Zealand for a very long time. I don't know, I was fixated on that country. Had nothing to do with all these movies being shot there.
The Lord of the Rings type stuff, although you saw some of that.
Yeah, we'll get to that, but it was just, I don't know. I'd wanted to go there for a long time, New Zealand for a long time, and also when Sydney had the Olympics in 2000, I thought I almost got to go, but I was at CNN at the time. Did not get to go, so finally, finally 13 years later.
So it's a bucket list type thing, but why New Zealand over Australia? I've been to Sydney a couple times. It's a fantastic city. Reminds you a lot of San Francisco, if you want an American reference to that. But why New Zealand over Australia?
No, I went to both.
Well, you managed to get in both, but you actually preferred.
Oh yeah. Well, I preferred parts of New Zealand to Australia.
Okay.
Sydney. Don't get me wrong. Sydney was amazing. Mm-hmm. I mean, you've been there. Sydney has over 4 million people. Crazy metropolis. Everything you could want. It's very, very expensive though.
And we're looking at some of the footage right here. In fact, you're out there in the harbor right now.
Yeah. So this is going towards Manly Bay. When you get on, ferries are cheap there. They're the only thing in Australia that's cheap apparently, or in Sydney.
Food and housing, from what I remember, were not inexpensive there, and you're still floating around the Sydney Harbor. And by the way, when you go down there, it's everything you think it is.
Oh, yeah.
The Opera House and the bridge, which we'll see here in a minute, are fantastic.
Yeah.
Circular Quay.
There is nothing.
That's actually housing right there, if I remember correctly, apartments and condos.
Yeah, I'm sure it's cheap though. I could probably get a place for $350 a month or so.
Who's that? Russell Crowe?
As you know, Sydney Harbor at night is
fantastic.
Unbelievable. This is iPhone video. It's a little rough. I didn't take my gear over there.
It's not like you shoot video for a living.
But I'm telling you, if there's one thing that you really do in Sydney, it's go there at night. Get the Opera House
photos.
And the Sydney Harbor Bay. Yeah, this is, that was St. James Catholic Church at the east end of Hyde Park there. This is the 3-story Apple store.
We're all Apple people around here. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, I actually went there because I wanted to get my phone unlocked and use a SIM card. It didn't work out, so I had to stick it back in and try to, reset my phone. I thought it was going to lose everything, but They helped me. They at least gave me the little thing to click my SIM card out. But after that, they didn't.
Did you have any? What am I trying to say here? Cell phone problems traveling internationally?
Well, that's one thing that you have to think about when you go to these places. Yes, you're not going to be able to use you can use your phone, but if you don't make prior arrangements, you might be paying like $3,000.
You're going to pay another vacation trip.
Yeah, exactly. So when you get there, if you turn your phone on and you've got like someone like AT&T that has worldwide service, they'll send you a text message and they'll say you can do this for this amount of money, or call us, or get online. I called them and I got a 120 megabytes of data for $30 that covered Australia and New Zealand.
Really?
So that was great. My brother didn't have an Apple phone, and he thought he didn't have his unlocked, and he got the SIM card and he couldn't use it. So but it was great to. That's one thing you have to think about though, because we all use our phones all the time.
Absolutely.
For everything, and if you get there and you don't have any kind of prior arrangement, you might have some problems.
All right, so this was a 10-day trip, 3 days in Sydney. Then you moved on from there to
Auckland, New Zealand, Auckland is on the North Island, towards the north part of the North Island, and it's the most populated city in New Zealand. It has about 1.5 million people, and that is the Sky Tower, which is actually the tallest structure in the southern hemisphere, a little taller than Sydney's Sky.
Centrepoint, right?
Yeah, Westfield Tower, I don't know.
Oh, one of the towers there.
Sky,
gotcha. Sure.
It was an eye tower or something. This is an archery range that was on a vineyard. I guess when they weren't growing grapes, you could shoot some arrows over there. This looks straight out of the Shire or some kind of
I'm not sure what's going on here.
I don't know much about the Hobbit and stuff, but there was a huge chair and I got in it.
It seems like when you see a large orange chair in the woods, you should hop on and have a picture taken.
And it was well made. I thought it was well made chair, so I wasn't worried about falling out or anything. I don't know anything about the Hobbit and whatever those other movies are. But
Well, I think there's some more of that coming up this holiday season at the movies, so perhaps you can get refreshed.
I think
Perhaps
that
we all
chair. I actually think that chair is in one of the
can. It
future
makes
movies.
a cameo? Okay.
I don't know.
Okay, and then moving on from there, where did you go?
Okay, from there was the great part. We went from there. You fly, a little south because it's the South Island. It's the southwest part of the South Island, and it's Queenstown on the South Island.
And this was one of your favorite places.
Yeah, in the world.
Okay. And why is that? Just kind of a cool.
Queenstown is
just
pretty. You would love it because it's like 28,000 people, and everyone else is like from all over the world except the United States. No Americans down there. Everyone goes down there to ski and to kind of hang out. It's like a young demographic, lots of snowboarders, skiers, everything else, and when you get there, it's silence inducing because it's so beautiful. You're like, oh, this is my view out of my hotel balcony.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
That's Lake Wakapitu, I think.
I think you're making up names now.
The longest lake, 50 miles long, longest lake in New Zealand. And this is over near the actual town of Queenstown, near sunset. It's so ugly. I don't know.
Yeah, I could see why you didn't like it there. You bring up a good point. The Australians, and I'm assuming the New Zealanders, are the same way. Not only are they fantastic musicians, apparently, but they're very much into adventure sports. You mentioned the hiking and the skiing, but they're very much into rugby and soccer.
Bungee jumping was invented in Queenstown. It's the venture capital of the world. So bungee jumping, skydiving.
Did you bungee jump?
Jet boating.
Now you said this was actually freezing cold.
This was insanely miserable. Weather rolls in there all the time, and this is a very remote part. If you don't think Queenstown is remote enough, you go down a little southwest, really towards the Tasman Sea, and you're on a 4 inches of water there at the most, and you're going 60 miles an hour. It's raining heavily at this point, and we're going 40 miles. I don't know. We're going to 40 to 60 miles an hour.
Were you forced onto this boat?
It's 40 degrees outside. Do I look like I'm happy there? No, I wasn't really forced, but I was pretty much forced. And he kept doing 360s. It really got to me at the end there. I was happy to get off that. That was the
little rainbow action there.
That was it. Yeah. New Zealand is the king of rainbow. I think rainbows go here to die, and I think they're born here as well. Because I saw a ridiculous amount of rainbows. And I think there was actually, if we went back there was another rainbow there on the other side.
Just showing off.
This is Doubtful, and this was the very quiet time in Doubtful Sound, this is all carved out by a huge glacier, obviously, so that was about as far south as you get. You keep going south, you're in Antarctica.
Right.
So this was on the very southwest side of the South Island of New Zealand, and you're over there near the Tasman Sea. Like I said, the only thing down there you go further is Antarctica.
One last question for you. When I travel, I like to explore, but I also like food. Any sort of food. Did you try the Vegemite?
No.
The Vegemite's actually kind of a bit or something, so you're not missing out a whole lot on that. But food-wise?
In Australia, Manly Bay, we had some barramundi.
What is that?
Which is the... she said it was the kind of fish they have over there in Australia.
It's Australian fish.
Yeah, it was fish, and we could see the beach and the ocean right there. So I was like,
Manly
I'm
Beach
not huge
is fantastic, isn't it? All the surfers.
Well, Shelley Beach,
Even better,
the little secluded up place, that was amazing. But
they didn't let me in apparently.
So yeah, the fish was amazing. I'm not huge on fish, but if it's going to be that fresh,
you're right there. It's not like Oklahoma, which is a little bit landlocked. If you haven't noticed, for fresh fish from the ocean.
They don't really tip in Australia, so
that's right. Yeah.
so my brother left a tip, and the waitress actually came back and goes, "I think you made a mistake here." So he was like, "No, keep it." But
the Australian dollars are pretty cool. They have the colorful paper money, right?
Yeah. Well, the paper money that's almost identical to New Zealand money, and they have coins that go up to like $2 or maybe even up to $5.
I think they do go to $5.
And so us, we're usually tossing coins out, like that. You don't want to do that when you're in Australia or New Zealand. And when you go from Australia to New Zealand, you want to put that money away because it looks exactly like New Zealand money. But also Australia, they did have crocodile and kangaroo as an option. I did not get it.
On the menu?
Yes, on the menu at Manly Bay. And then New Zealand, Queenstown had amazing, just gourmet chefs everywhere apparently. And the food there, they're big on lamb, obviously.
Right.
They do some stuff with pork. obviously seafood when you're in the middle of the ocean there. But yeah, the food there was outstanding, but it's very, very expensive everywhere there. In Auckland and Sydney especially.
Well, even getting there is not cheap.
No, exactly. But there is one place in Queenstown you can go, it's called Fur Burgers. And
seriously?
Yeah, and it had like enormous hamburgers like this big.
So you get your money's worth there, right?
And you know, the kids, they were like lined up there. It would open at like, I don't know, 11 a.m. and be open till like 2 or 4 in the morning. And there was always a line. So, but it was only, reasonably priced stuff.
You know,
there.
when I was down there, Krispy Kreme had just made its entrance to that market. There was a line there, just like it was here. It's like sometimes you can't escape from the chains, but it's good to see all the other pubs and bars and local establishments that they have down there.
Yeah,
this is very cool.
All
right, now you wrote a story for us in the Oklahoman. We can find that in-depth story in the Oklahoman and online in NewsOK as well, right?
Correct, and there's also a lot of photos as well. Some of the stuff we couldn't get on here, going towards Glenorchy, which is where the Lord of the Rings, all that stuff was shot. Some of the most stunning stuff you'll ever see as far as the lake and the mountains and everything else.
Well, I hope you will pair that with some fittingly dramatic music. All right, thanks for your work on the sidelines that you do, and thanks for your time today with the story.
Great, thank you.
All right, read more about it in the Oklahoman and online at NewsOK.com.